the STOP method. Another important thing that psychology teaches us is the STOP method. STOP is an acronym for stop, take a step back, observe, and proceed. This method may seem incredibly basic, and it is, with good reason. Begin by stopping what you're doing whenever you're faced with an obstacle. Stopping gives you the opportunity to take a step back and observe your own emotions. Your emotions need to be recognized in any obstacle to give you a bit of guidance about yourself and the situation. Once you observe yourself, you can proceed mindfully. Mindful continuation means that you continue to touch back on your emotions and reflect on the process. This gives you the opportunity to continue to develop yourself throughout the entire obstacle. During the STOP method, it is helpful to think about what advice you would give someone else if they were in your shoes. As humans, we're often much more critical and pessimistic of ourselves. 3 ways to determine which obstacles are worth your time. Obstacles are a great way to challenge yourself and grow as a person. Even though they can be stressful at times, obstacles really are essential for growing and thriving as a human being. Still, not all obstacles are worth our time. For example, some are literally impossible to overcome, while others simply aren't worth it. How do you determine which obstacles are worth your time, though? After all, some obstacles are absolutely necessary, but others are downright destructive. In this tutorial, I'm going to answer just that. Let's take a look at 3 ways to determine which obstacles are worth your time. 1. Look at the facts. Whenever an obstacle comes your way, the first thing you should do is look at the facts. This will quickly tell you whether an obstacle is worth your time. The facts include any relevant information that is true and not related to your emotions. For example, legal implications, requirements, or hard statistics all include facts of the obstacle. Take, for instance, that the obstacle in front of you is getting your degree. The facts related to this obstacle include financial requirements, class requirements, etc. Consider all of these facts to determine whether or not getting your degree is worth it. In the instance of your degree, the obstacle will likely be worth it. There are instances when you will find that not to be the case, though. For example, joining a cult may not be worth it if it involves giving up your financial independence. 2. Consider your emotions. In addition to the facts, consider your emotions. Though you need to keep your emotions and the facts separate, you certainly shouldn't ignore it either. Your emotions play a heavy role in your life. Ignoring them will likely cause you to make the wrong decision or pursue an obstacle that's not worth it. For example, let's say that your partner has taken a job across the country. Your options are to move with them, break up, or stay in a long-distance relationship. In this obstacle, it's important to evaluate how you feel about every option. For many people, moving or being in a long-distance relationship is not emotionally worth it. Even if the facts allow either option to play out, your emotions may tell you that it's time to break up. Listen to your emotions to see if things are emotionally worth your time. 3. Look for alternatives. Finally, the third way to determine if an obstacle is worth it is to look for alternatives. In other words, is there a simpler solution than the one you're pursuing? If so, definitely go with the simpler solution if it accomplishes the same task. For example, let's say you want to have a higher income. You come to the conclusion that the only way to get a higher income is to get a better job, but you don't have any degree or experience. Like most people, you assume you need to get a college degree, but you actually aren't interested in going to college in and of itself. The obstacle may seem surmountable. Instead, you should probably look at trade school because it accomplishes the same task, but it isn't as demanding as a 4-year degree. Conclusion. Once again, you shouldn't shy away from obstacles simply because they scare you. Still, there are instances when you should choose to let go of an obstacle if it is impossible to achieve or emotionally taxing. Considering the facts, your emotions, and alternative solutions is the best way to determine if an obstacle is worth your time. Don't be afraid to let go if the obstacle isn't worth it. 4 ways to teach your children how to overcome obstacles. As parents, it is our job to help our children learn needed skills to become functioning adults. One of the most important aspects of being a functioning adult is knowing how to overcome obstacles. Unfortunately, many parents do not know how to teach this lesson to their children. If you want to learn about different techniques for teaching your child how to overcome obstacles, keep listening. This tutorial goes over 4 different ways to teach overcoming obstacles to a child. Let's get started. 1. Play games. Children don't like being lectured or feeling like they're in a classroom. Teach your child to overcome obstacles by turning it into a game. Something like a board game, word puzzle, or scavenger hunt will teach your child crucial problem-solving skills without it feeling like they're learning anything. As you're playing these games with your child, reinforce the ideas of perseverance and not giving up. Continue to challenge them to get better in a way that is not intimidating or harmful, and be sure to not add too much pressure from the game. 2. Help them. Many parents assume that their children do not go through their own hardships and trials. That is not true. Even though the obstacles may seem small to an adult, they feel heavy to your child. One of the best ways to teach them how to overcome obstacles is to help them whenever the obstacles come along. Children are often very keen to tell their parents whenever they're facing a problem or obstacle. Instead of either ignoring the issue or solving it for them, help your child. This makes them feel like they can trust you, all while teaching them healthy and helpful techniques for figuring out their own way out of problems. 3. Talk about problems. The dinner table is one of the best places to create a bond with your children and teach them how to overcome obstacles. Too many parents make the mistake of not giving their child the opportunity to problem solve with them. Instead of simply complaining about your own problems in front of your child, ask them their opinion. Of course, you shouldn't be asking them about serious problems that could affect their life, such as your divorce. But small problems can make them feel important and help them start learning key problem-solving techniques from a young age. For example, say that you're invited to 2 different events that take place at the same time, and you're trying to figure out how you should best go about it. This would be a perfect opportunity to ask your child what they think you ought to do. Respond to their idea in an uplifting and inspiring way, even if it isn't the best idea. It will make them feel important and motivate them to continue problem solving. 4. Show, don't tell. Monkey see, monkey do. Teach your child how to overcome obstacles by overcoming them yourself. Even if you're not aware of it, your child is watching you. Show them with your actions how to overcome obstacles. In other words, be open and honest with your child. Don't pretend that everything is perfect, because that tells them that they are failing whenever they struggle with an obstacle. Likewise, don't ignore your problems. Instead, face them head on. Conclusion. Learning how to face obstacles is one of the most important lessons you can teach your child. Incorporate the 4 techniques above to help them learn how to problem solve their way out of obstacles. What psychology says about obstacles. Believe it or not, most obstacles are in our heads. As a result, looking at psychology can help us learn how to overcome obstacles and live a better life. In this tutorial, I'm going to tell you the 3 biggest things that psychology says about obstacles. Let's get to it. Mindset matters. The most important thing that psychology teaches us about obstacles is that mindset matters. Countless of studies have shown that a person's mindset or perspective will make all the difference. Having a defeatist or fixed mindset is a recipe for disaster, while having an optimistic and growth mindset will help you overcome any obstacle that comes your way. The worst mindset that you can have when it comes to obstacles is viewing the world as against you or viewing yourself as a failure. Both of these mindsets are guaranteed to set you up for failure. This often incites a never-ending cycle of pessimistic mindsets. In contrast, one of the best mindsets to have is a growth mindset. A growth mindset helps you view any weakness or challenge as an opportunity to grow. You don't get fixated on the negative. Instead, you know that you have the ability to get better, eventually helping you overcome the obstacle. The STOP method. Another important thing that psychology teaches us is the STOP method. STOP is an acronym for stop, take a step back, observe, and proceed. This method may seem incredibly basic, and it is, with good reason. Begin by stopping what you're doing whenever you're faced with an obstacle. Stopping gives you the opportunity to take a step back and observe your own emotions. Your emotions need to be recognized in any obstacle to give you a bit of guidance about yourself and the situation. Once you observe yourself, you can proceed mindfully. Mindful continuation means that you continue to touch back on your emotions and reflect on the process. This gives you the opportunity to continue to develop yourself throughout the entire obstacle. During the STOP method, it is helpful to think about what advice you would give someone else if they were in your shoes. As humans, we're often much more critical and pessimistic of ourselves. By thinking about what advice you would give someone else, you take a much more unbiased perspective on your own situation. We can become more resilient. Finally, the third thing that I'm going to talk about that psychology teaches us is that we can become more resilient. What does this mean? Well, the fact that we can become more resilient tells us that we can become more capable at overcoming obstacles. The more obstacles we face, the better we will be at facing them. That's because we learn crucial facts about ourselves, the reality of the world, and overcoming obstacles with every challenge that faces us. As a result, we continue to grow so that we become better and better obstacle beaters. At this point, this fact of psychology should be ringing a bell. Doesn't it sound like what the growth mindset teaches us? It does. The fact that we can become more resilient shows exactly how the growth mindset works in life. So have a growth mindset because it is realistic to our psychology. We can become more resilient as time goes on. Final thoughts. All in all, psychology teaches us that we really shouldn't be that scared of obstacles. Instead, psychology shows us that mindset matters. The STOP method works, and we can become more resilient. Together, these three teachings can help us overcome any challenge that comes our way.